The entire dojo fell silent the moment the billionaire stepped onto the mat. More than 300 people filled the massive training hall that bright Saturday afternoon. Cameras flashed. Students whispered. The walls were decorated with decades of martial arts achievements, trophies, and photographs of champions from around the world. Standing at the center of it all was Victor Kane, a famous billionaire entrepreneur and an 8th Dan Aikido master whose name carried legendary status across martial arts circles. Then his eyes settled on a man standing quietly near the back. A tired-looking single father wearing a faded blue shirt. A man nobody seemed to notice. And that was when Victor Kane pointed directly at him. The room froze. The billionaire smiled and asked the single dad to spar. The single dad smiled back and replied, "Only if you promise not to cry." The crowd erupted with laughter. Before we continue, if you believe kindness, humility, and second chances can change lives, please like this video, comment where you're watching from, share this story with someone who needs inspiration today, and subscribe to Single Dad Empire for more powerful stories that touch the heart. Most people assumed the single father was joking. After all, Victor Kane wasn't just wealthy. He was respected across the world. He had trained martial artists, military personnel, and security professionals. His seminars sold out months in advance. Newspapers called him the billionaire warrior. The man he had challenged looked nothing like a fighter. His name was Rowan Mercer. He was 39 years old. His shoulders carried the weight of exhaustion. His shoes were worn. His hands showed signs of years of hard labor. Every movement suggested a man fighting life's battles rather than martial arts tournaments. People looked at Rowan and saw someone ordinary. What they didn't see was the story hidden behind his eyes. 5 years earlier, Rowan had lost everything. His wife had passed away unexpectedly after a sudden illness, leaving him alone with a 6-year-old son named Miles. The grief nearly destroyed him. Medical bills consumed his savings. He sold his house. He sold his truck. He worked 2 jobs to survive. Some nights he barely slept. Some mornings he skipped breakfast so Miles could have enough food. Yet every day he woke up and kept moving. Not because he was strong. Because his son needed him. That morning, Rowan had only come to the seminar because Miles loved martial arts. The boy had begged him for months to attend. After saving money little by little, Rowan finally managed to buy 2 tickets. For Miles, it felt like visiting a superhero. For Rowan, it was simply a chance to spend one unforgettable day with his son. Neither of them expected their lives to change forever. Victor Kane stepped onto the mat and invited volunteers to participate in demonstrations. Several experienced students tried. Each was effortlessly redirected and controlled. The audience applauded every technique. Then Victor noticed Rowan standing quietly beside his son. There was something unusual about him. Something calm. Something disciplined. Victor had spent decades reading people. He recognized confidence. Not arrogance. Not pride. Confidence. The kind that doesn't need attention. That was why he invited Rowan onto the mat. The crowd expected a quick demonstration. Instead, something strange happened. As Rowan stepped forward, Victor's expression changed. For the first time that afternoon, the billionaire looked serious. The 2 men bowed respectfully. Sunlight streamed through the large windows, illuminating the polished wooden floor. The audience leaned forward. Miles watched nervously from the front row. His small hands gripped the edge of his seat. Victor attacked first. Fast. Controlled. Precise. The kind of movement that had humbled countless opponents. But Rowan moved as though he had seen it coming long before it happened. With almost effortless timing, he redirected the attack and sent Victor gliding harmlessly across the mat. The room gasped. Victor quickly recovered. The audience stared in disbelief. Perhaps it was luck. Perhaps the billionaire had allowed it. That was what many people thought. Then Victor attacked again. And again. And again. Each time Rowan calmly neutralized the movement. No wasted energy. No aggression. No attempt to show off. Just perfect control. The laughter disappeared. The whispers stopped. Even the cameras seemed to pause. Something remarkable was unfolding. Victor stepped back and studied him carefully. Years of experience told him the truth. This was no beginner. This was someone extraordinary. Yet Rowan looked uncomfortable with the attention. Almost as if he wished nobody were watching. The demonstration ended with both men bowing respectfully. The crowd exploded into applause. Miles jumped from his seat with excitement. His eyes shined with pride. For perhaps the first time in years, Rowan smiled without carrying sadness behind it. After the seminar ended, Victor approached him privately. The billionaire asked a question nobody else had considered. Where had he learned to move like that? Rowan hesitated. Then he shared a story few people knew. Decades earlier, his grandfather had been a respected martial arts instructor. As a child, Rowan trained every day. Not for competition. Not for trophies. His grandfather believed martial arts existed to develop character. Discipline. Patience. Compassion. For years Rowan trained before school, after school, and on weekends. By his early 20s, he had become exceptionally skilled. Then adulthood arrived. Marriage. Work. Responsibilities. Eventually training became less important. Then tragedy struck. When his wife died, survival became the only priority. Martial arts disappeared completely from his life. Victor listened carefully. The more he heard, the more impressed he became. Not because of Rowan's skill. Because of his sacrifice. Many people chase success when life is easy. Very few continue moving forward when life falls apart. Victor had met world champions with less courage than the man standing before him. A week later, Rowan received an unexpected phone call. Victor Kane wanted to meet again. At first Rowan assumed it was a mistake. Why would a billionaire care about someone like him? Still, curiosity led him to accept. The meeting took place in a bright office overlooking a city skyline. Miles accompanied his father. The young boy sat quietly while the two men talked. Victor revealed something surprising. For years he had funded youth martial arts programs across the country. Recently, one of his largest community centers had struggled. The children lacked strong leadership. Attendance was falling. The program needed someone who understood more than martial arts. It needed someone who understood hardship. Someone who understood resilience. Someone who understood family. Victor offered Rowan a position leading the program. The salary was generous. The benefits were life-changing. For several moments Rowan couldn't speak. Tears formed in his eyes. Not because of the money. Because for the first time in years someone saw value in him. Not pity. Not charity. Value. He accepted. The following months transformed countless lives. Children who struggled with confidence found encouragement. Teenagers heading toward trouble discovered discipline. Families found hope. Attendance doubled. Then tripled. Soon waiting lists formed. Parents praised the positive changes they saw in their children. What made Rowan special wasn't his technique. It was his heart. Every lesson carried life wisdom. Every student felt respected. Every child felt important. Most importantly, Miles got his father back. The exhausted man who once worked endless hours slowly returned to life. They trained together. Laughed together. Dreamed together. The darkness that had followed them for years finally began to fade. 1 year later, Victor organized another public seminar. This time Rowan stood beside him as an instructor. Thousands attended. Many remembered the mysterious single father from the previous event. When Victor introduced him, the audience rose to their feet. The applause lasted nearly a full minute. Rowan looked out across the crowd. Then toward Miles. The boy was no longer sitting nervously in the audience. He was standing proudly near the mat, wearing a martial arts uniform and smiling from ear to ear. In that moment Rowan realized something powerful. Success isn't measured by money. It isn't measured by fame. It isn't measured by trophies. Real success is surviving your hardest days without losing your kindness. Real success is continuing to love when your heart is broken. Real success is becoming the person your children can look up to. As the applause echoed through the hall, Victor Kane quietly leaned toward Rowan. The billionaire's eyes were filled with respect. Because despite all his achievements, he knew something important. The strongest man in the room wasn't the billionaire. It was the single father who refused to give up when life gave him every reason to quit. Special request: if you've ever faced a difficult season in life and refused to surrender, comment, "I kept going," below so others can find strength in your story too. As this story comes to an end, if Rowan and Miles touched your heart, please like the video, leave a comment, and share it with someone who needs hope today. Your support helps these stories reach people who may be fighting battles we cannot see. The bright afternoon sunlight continued pouring through the dojo windows as families slowly left the building. Children laughed. Parents smiled. The future felt brighter than it had in years. Rowan watched Miles run across the training floor and realized that life had given him something greater than victory. It had given him purpose. The pain he carried had not disappeared, but it had become part of a story that could inspire others. And sometimes, the greatest warriors are not the ones who win every fight. They are the ones who keep standing after life knocks them down. On that beautiful day, surrounded by hope, respect, and new beginnings, a single father discovered that the chapters he thought were endings were actually the beginning of the most meaningful journey of his life. And that journey started with a billionaire asking for a sparring match, and a single dad smiling and saying, "Only if you promise not to cry."